Devila?
Popola? What are you doing here?
Remember your promise?
What are you talking about?
Come on, Nines. Hack in while you can.
None of this makes any sense.
We'll explain everything once we're inside.
This is a scene from Yoko Taro's newest game, Nier Automata. As I was playing through that, I felt like I had been in that situation before, but the roles were reversed. And instead of protecting someone while they hacked away, I was the one being protected. At the front of my mind was this sequence from Goldeneye. I failed that mission dozens of times. Natalia was next to impossible to keep alive while she hacked something. Goldeneye, I guess? I don't remember. But the memory of playing that game in 1997 had at least something to do with making Popola and Devila's sacrifice matter some 20 years later.
Devila!
I hope you don't regret this.
That scene meant something to me, but only because I played Goldeneye, which is kind of absurd. Games don't exist in a vacuum. They don't live on a disc or in a cartridge. They live in the mind of a player. What a player brings to the table, their past, their knowledge, their favorite movies, will ultimately be what decides meaning. Half-Life 2's setting means what it does because it incites association with the Russian-occupied states of the Cold War. Metal Gear Solid 3 invites comparison to the spy movies of the 1960s, working as both a deconstruction and commemoration of the genre.
Real spies are nothing like James Bond. It's pure fantasy.
And Persona 5's depiction of modern-day Tokyo is going to mean different things to a Tokyo native than it will to someone living in America. But it's not just history, life experience, or film that defines meaning in video games, because games are also defined by other games. Our minds are constantly comparing the experience of one video game against another. Even while playing through Nier, I found myself thinking of my time with other titles like Ikaruga, Resident Evil 2, and Journey, not to mention dozens of JRPGs and character action games like Ninja Gaiden or Bayonetta. And Yoko Taro knows that. He's so keenly aware of his audience and what goes on in their brain while playing that he can easily manipulate our expectations to elicit emotion. When the game first introduces hacking, we think of the repetitive and simple mini-games that plagued the last console generation. But when that hacking unexpectedly expands to encompass entire levels, it carries an emotional weight that I don't think would have been there otherwise. And Nier Automata is built around this concept. Its multiple playthroughs would have meant nothing if this was our first video game. And the way it ricochets from one genre to the next is only a discussion point because no other game we've played does that. It undermines our expectations at every turn, and it uses that to communicate its complex themes with an international audience instead of relying on the nuances of traditional language-based storytelling. Battling Servo over and over again reminded me of training with Orca in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. But instead of gallantly accepting defeat, Servo fights to the death in a hopeless bid for victory. And protecting the Machine Parade conjured up memories of escorting dozens of NPCs in World of Warcraft. But instead of rewarding you with praise, the parade leader realizes the futility of pacifism. Hunting the Yorha Betrayers was a mission that I've already completed in dozens of MMOs and RPGs, from Dragon Age to Final Fantasy XIV. But instead of feeling heroic, I felt villainous and vile. Even the way you mow down enemies as you travel from one locale to the next is, at first, reminiscent of Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, until the enemies start acting like humans. They pledge allegiance to their king, they swear revenge, and they beg for their lives.
Please, don't kill me.
Nier Automata's living heart, its themes, and its messages are buried in those moments, and they would be lost on anyone who hasn't interacted with a video game in the last 20 years. Nier Automata constantly refers to our experiences with other games to communicate meaning. It's about hate, ethnocentrism, and war, sure, but it's also about video games and the people who play them. It has more meaning to people who understand what a cutscene is, people who know what grinding out levels feels like, people who have either played World of Warcraft or watched someone else play World of Warcraft. And that all comes together in Nier's final moments, in Ending E, when in order to save the main characters, you need to fight through this. After a few losses, you're offered help, and every time you die after that, someone loses their save. Then, once you're finally finished, the game asks you to make the same sacrifice.
However, in exchange, you will lose all of your save data.
This is something only another gamer would understand. Yoko Taro, in an interview, said that the idea came to him when he lost his Dragon Quest save. He was extremely upset, probably frustrated, and his parents, who weren't gamers, didn't understand why it mattered. And we've all been there, when two different kinds of people found completely different meanings in the same event. Meaning doesn't exist in a vacuum. It doesn't live on a page or in a TV. It lives in the mind of a person. So when you set out to create a video game or make a movie or write a book that asks big questions, then it's best to consider who you're talking to. Who is your audience and what are they bringing to the table? Because it'll be them and not you who ultimately decide what something means. It's funny, Nier Automata is a game that's noteworthy because of the way it makes us think of other games. But for the next few years at least, I think I'll have a hard time playing through a JRPG or action game and not comparing it to my time with Nier Automata. It's a game that challenges our norms and what we thought was possible in this medium. It's a game that feels like it shouldn't have been made, or at least not made at this scale. I don't think everyone will love this game. In fact, I'm sure some people will hate it. After all, Nier Automata will mean different things to different people. But it represents something this industry probably needs. A game that pushes us forward, but at the same time offers reflection on where we're coming from. It's as much a deconstruction as it is a homage, a celebration of what it means to be a video game.